Good morning and welcome to this edition of Cyclopedia. Richard here, and today I am ditching the bike and I'm back on my 2 feet. For today's video I'm going to walk a trail that most people will be familiar with, the Southern Ridges, but I'm going to try and do it a little bit different and try and introduce some places that you may not know along the route, and I'm also going to extend it a little bit. I'm calling it the Southern Ridges EP, or extended play. Now old people will understand what I mean, but it's already 8:30. I got a late start this morning because I had to drop my son off at primary school on the way over here, and the sun's already up and things are warming up, so I'm gonna have to put my sun gear on before I get started. The spot where I'm standing right now along Kent Ridge Road looks pretty nondescript, but this mound behind me is known, or was known, as Hill 270, named because of its height above sea level, around 270 feet. About 80 or 90 years ago there were a couple of observation posts that served Faber Fire Command and the Buena Vista Battery. Now they would have provided information on the range, course, bearing and speed of any enemy ships at sea, so the batteries could fire accurately and try to hit the enemy targets. Nowadays there's a big water tank up there just behind the tree line, which I can see but you can't see on camera, but I'll put the satellite photo up there so you can check it out. Now I don't know whether it's because I'm on top of the ridge or whether it's just the weather today, but it's so pleasant. There's a beautiful cool breeze blowing, and I thought it was going to be a horrible sweaty day, but so far it's been really nice. I'm enjoying it. Big leaf! I'm here at Bukit Chandu, which means Opium Hill in Malay. Now, it's known that way because up until around 1910, there was an opium processing factory that belonged to the British East India Company located at the foot of the hill. This place is also well known locally because of a battle that took place during the fall of Singapore and the valiant fight that a local Malay regiment put up in defending this position. But I'm not going to talk about that in any detail today because I plan to do that in a future video. Now you can learn more about that battle in the building behind me, which is a museum, but unfortunately it's closed for renovations at the moment, although it is scheduled to open again pretty soon. Okay, I originally planned to get some hawker food somewhere, but I got to Hort Park area on Alexandra Road and there was no hawker centre within a kilometre, and I was so lazy and tired and hungry, so I just came to the nearest place. This place is called Vineyard. It's in Hort Park. It's a little bit swanky, hence the prices are a bit more than I like to usually pay, but it looks pretty good from the menu. I've just ordered a pizza though because I want some carbs. So we'll see what happens. See how it goes and see what it tastes like. Alright, so finished my lunch at Vineyard in Hort Park. It was okay, but it wasn't the best pizza I've ever had because the base was a bit overcooked and the vegetables were quite thickly sliced, so they weren't too cooked either and quite hard to bite through, but it's done the job. It's filled a hole and given me the energy to finish the second part of my Southern Ridges adventure. So let's go for it. quite a few colonial era buildings and houses along the top of the southern ridges, and this one behind me, the Alkaff Mansion, is one of the more famous ones. The Alkaff family were Arabs from Yemen who came to Singapore in the mid-1800s and built a fortune through trading, first in sugar, coffee and spices, before moving into property. Built in 1918 as a weekend house for the family, it was one of the many properties they owned, and was known during the 1930s for hosting society parties for Singapore's rich and famous. However, the Alkaff's business interests fell on hard times in the post-war era, and they eventually sold this one off. Since then, it has been used as the HQ for the World Buddhist Society, and more recently as a restaurant and a venue for hosting events such as weddings like the one that's going on behind me. Now, another colonial mansion that I wanted to talk about was this one. It's known as Golden Bell Mansion. Completed in 1910 by Tan Buliat, the great-grandson of Tan Tok Seng of hospital fame, it was named after Tan Buliat's great-grandfather, Tan Kim Ching, whose name in Chinese literally translates as Golden Bell. Now, this residence also played host to a whole array of prominent figures during its time, including the former Chinese revolutionary leader Sun Yat-sen, who stayed here in 1911 whilst travelling from Europe back to China. It was sold in 1934 after Tan's death, and eventually ended up in the hands of the authorities. Since 1985, however, it has been leased by the Danish Seamen's Church and serves as a place of worship for Danes passing through Singapore. And again, unfortunately, this place is also under renovation, so we can't go inside and have a look. Dating back to 1905, the Keppel Hill Reservoir behind me once served as a water source for the Tanjong Pagar Dock Company, a predecessor of the Port of Singapore Authority. The 2-metre deep pool later on served as a swimming pool, before disappearing completely off local maps post-war, before it was rediscovered by the National Heritage Board a few years ago during a land survey. I tell you what, after the day I've had, how hot it's been today, that water really looks inviting. I have to admit, I did absolutely no research about this Japanese tomb. I knew it was here and I was going to come and look at it, but I'm sorry I didn't look into it. But what I can work out from looking at it is that it's something to do with the Navy, because the Chinese characters Hai Jun for the Navy at the top, and I guess it's must have been some important Navy personnel. I have no idea. But there's also a place in Japan in Chinese characters as well, but I don't know where it is. I just know that that's the characters they use to talk about places. So yeah, and there's There's a lot of verse there. I might have a look, see if I can figure out what it's talking about. Well, according to my terrible Chinese and Google Translate, it's a commoner from Hyogo. Yep, it's a Japanese prefecture in the Kansai region of the main island. And Kobe is the capital. Alright, wow, struggled uphill through the bushes and finally came out right under the Mount Faber cable car, which is just a bit down the road from my last point of interest for today. So we'll head on over there and we'll talk about something new. Alright, so my last point of interest for today is here on the top of Mount Faber. Now originally it was known as Telok Blangah Hill, but it was renamed Mount Faber in 1845 after Charles Faber of the Madras Engineers, after he constructed the first road to the summit for a signal station. Now if I had looked down from here in that direction around 200 years ago, I would have been able to see the settlement of Temangong Abdul Rahman, the then ruler of Singapore. Now I don't know the exact location, but as there's a road and a mosque named after Temangong just down there, then I presume that it must have been around here somewhere. Now Raffles had convinced the Temangong to move his settlement to this new location from the south bank of the Singapore River around 1823. And according to records, between 6,000 and 10,000 of his followers also lived in the same area. Now they eventually established several settlements, including Kampong Telok Blangah, Kampong Ulu, Kampong Roshor and Kampong Baru, amongst others. There were other ones as well, but I can't remember the names. Now there was also a fort here once. It was constructed in the late 1850s to protect the harbour, but it didn't last long and ceased to function by 1885. Nevertheless, there are still some huge underground complexes on Mount Faber. These tunnels and rooms belonged to the Faber Fire Command, which I mentioned earlier at the start of the video. Now I have no idea where they are located on Mount Faber, but I know that access is restricted, although you can go on official tours, although with COVID I'm not sure if those tours are happening at the moment. Okay guys, I'm done for the day and now I'm heading down the Marang Trail to Harbourfront MRT to catch the train home. I hope you enjoyed my alternative Southern Ridges tour. I've really enjoyed making it, although I've been on the road now for about 9 hours, so I'm pretty tired, need a shower and a rest. So anyway, if you enjoyed it, don't forget, give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you would like to catch my adventures every Saturday morning without fail, then always you can hit that bell. That's it now guys, take it easy, see you next week, over and out.